Hey guys, Disciplined Magic here, and I'm sure you've been on Arena checking out just what an absolute circus it is after the release of such a badly designed set, and well, I've played about 30 games, and it's getting to be about as bad as I thought. There is one thing they did that I didn't think they would do though, and this is a little off topic for the video, but they basically added the pre-release as an event, one day before the actual pre-release. Little bit of an undercutting there. I mean, hanging out with people, eating junk food, having a great time, not caring if you win or lose, talking and trading cards between matches. In my mind, you can't replace that. It's a whole experience. Honestly, like the cards, the gameplay is only like half the event. I mean, joking around with other people and like the stories they tell about craziest stuff that's ever happened in Magic, you aren't going to get that on Arena. Also, you're not going to get a fair game on Arena. But speaking of crazy stories, formerly MTG Purple, now the Magic Historian, on live stream, so he didn't fake this. I watched the whole damn thing. He entered one of these tournaments, literally just looked at the rares, and he's like, okay, that's the best color rares. Dumped in 100% of the white and red spells. All of them. And then went 7-0 with that deck. 0 losses, swept the whole thing, 2,200 gems in 3 packs. I have never in my life seen something like that. I ran one of the events, and I got, I think, 5 wins, 3 losses, and oh my god, did this piss me off. I lost because the fucking programmers don't know how to program this one card. He was 1 permanent short, and they fucking knew it, and you can't use the source of the ability as part of the cost. I had 1 life, and I lost the game because of that, and it pisses me off. So I guess we could see who has all the luck today. But I do have some good news. In the games that I played, the games that he played, other people I watched on stream, and basically everything all together. At these pretend practice pseudo pre-releases, the cards I thought were good, were good. The cards I thought were crap. And just like every pre-release, people were misreading cards, targeting stuff wrong, hitting the oops little chat thing pretty much every other turn. I almost did this, and then I saw 2 other people do this. Do not blow up your own creature with spark salvage or spark something. I've just been calling it super bone splinters. I think it's spark harvest. The target of the spell has to be first, and then the cost has to be paid after targeting is established. So don't click on the creature you're sacking first. So now that we got the cool stuff out of the way, time for the somewhat boring but also somewhat surprising and super important and a mix of completely irrelevant. It's a grab bag of crazy. It's the War of the Spark Comprehensive Rules Changes by Eli Schriffen. Who is he? I don't know. They didn't put a bio link. He kind of looks like this guy I know that lives down the street from me, so let's go with that. So like I said, some of these are horribly boring. Some of these are like, what? The game works like that now? So let's just jump into it. And I haven't read any of these yet, by the way. So rule number 114.9, this rule had 2 children rules. Actually, child rules would be the correct adjective. Oh, we're off to the grammar races already. So anyway, this rule has 2 child rules that used became the target to mean was chosen as the target. This conflicts with how we normally use become in Magic. Something can't become something if it already is that something before something else. Before something else, something's the something. That's literally what he wrote. Honestly, it sounds like something I would write. I can't fault him for that. So the rule is now updated to say something more like what it actually means. And then he added, or something. Keeping with that type of rules change and clarification where people could kind of rules lawyer it, how can you, quote, return a creature to hand if it was never in your hand? If you milled it straight into the graveyard and then resurrected it onto the battlefield, and then somebody says return it to hand, it should say place it into the owner's hand. And that is so misleading, so wrong, so much worse than 114.9, which they felt the need to change. It's honestly only a matter of time before they reword it, and I hope they do. So then we got 117.9, Section B. Oh, I ain't touching Section A. Hell no. Previously, this rule claimed that alternative costs were always optional. You may remember this little known ability called Flashback from back in 2001. I hate that ability. That is an alternate cost, and it is definitely not optional. He's correct, and that is not the only example of alternative costs that are not optional. I mean, it's hard to make a list in my head, but I'd almost think that, close to half of them, if not more than half of them, are not optional. They're conditional. It's like, if this condition, then pay that, and if that condition, then pay that, and it's still an alternate cost. So the example he gives is absolute gold. He says, has anybody ever said, I'll flashback Firebolt, and because alternate costs are optional, I'll pay 1 red instead of 5 total mana for generic plus 1 red, so 5. With the old wording of the rules. So this rule is really just saying, just because you may pitch a card and pay life for Force of Will doesn't mean you can't just choose to just pay all that mana. So he has adjusted it to sound more descriptive than prescriptive and to be truthier in its descriptiveness. See, this is actual, like, funny, serious but not serious geek writing, unlike the absolute trash that Captain Sweater Vest does. Or wait, no, that's Gavin. Who's the other guy? Blake. Oh my god, Blake, the king of cringe Rasmussen. They should let Eli Shiffin write the rest of the articles from now until forever. My god. Okay, moving on to 120.2 subsection D, which is the best one. By the way, in said subsection D, the D stands for Des doesn't understand this one, so I'll just read it and then leave it. Here's where we say that drawing cards in a shared team turns game has players draw the cards in any order they'd like. I've changed the word effect to rule or effect so that your team's draws for the turn are properly handled. I assume he means two-headed giant, and I assume he means like the ordering of card draws if somebody gets a bonus one but somebody else doesn't, like with Thassa or something. But that would be effect. He added rule or effect. What would the rule be? I don't get that, but whatever. Okay, patches something up, I guess. In my opinion, it went from effect to effect or follow the rest of the rules. And he doesn't state why he thought this was necessary. So then we got 120.9. God Eternal Kefnet lets you reveal a card as you draw it, just like the miracle keyword. For miracle, it was obvious that you could look before choosing, because how else would it even work? Clearly he's never played card games at a casino. I've had 6 beers and I'm up 100. We're going blind. Tuck 'em. I'm revealing this before I even look at it. Suck it, hater tots. I mean, it's basically the same thing. So anyway, for Kefnet, it was less obvious. So this new rule makes it clear that you get to look before deciding. And I mean, yeah, it was obvious, but just because it's obvious doesn't mean it should be in the rules. Everything should be in the rules. But keep in mind, if you do want to just YOLO flip it without looking at it, you can do that. Looking at it first is not mandatory. Then we got 121.5. The rule about moving counters was written a little too narrowly. In another instance of updating a rule to say what it means, which I support that, I've updated this rule to more accurately cover what it's trying to say. If it's not legal to both remove a counter and to put a counter, moving a counter isn't legal. So it's like both conditions. It's like a 2-target spell. If one fails, you could still kind of do it. But if both fail, then a counter was not moved in the first place. So then a counter moving trigger wouldn't go off or whatever. Then we're going all the way down to section J of 205.3. The list of Planeswalker types is updated for our 4 new Planeswalkers. Welcome Davriel, Kasmina, Teo, and I didn't quite get your name. I get it, it's the Wanderer. This is legitimately clever writing. So he says, hey, wait, come back. Well then, whoever that mysterious stranger was. It's an angel in disguise created by Emrakul that's being remote controlled by her. Everybody knows that. Either that or it's Elspeth. But, I mean, now that we know Gideon dies and Transplaner transports his soul, whatever the hell, to Theros so that he can live in the underworld there of, what the hell is it, Erebos? I'll just say Hades. It's all the same. And the staff is like, he is not coming back, he is permanently dead. I feel like it would be in poor taste to literally at the same time say, oh, by the way, Elspeth found a way to sneak out of the underworld. Oh, but Gideon's not coming back, though. So it's either something Emrakul related, something or someone Emrakul related, or it's literally exactly what they said. It's a mysterious planeswalker that's bad at planeswalking. She shows up and beats the crap out of big stuff because it's fun. That's it. But I think we all know that Emrakul made a synthetic spark, gave it to a living being or created another being, and that's why she's bad at planeswalking or planeswalks unstably. So anyway, 205.3M, where does Bolus keep his armies? No, not in his sleeveys. I think he meant to put sleeves. I've never heard the word sleeveys. That sounds like such a Seattle term. Anyway, he keeps them here in Rule 205.3M, the creature type list. I mean, look at him. He is a dragon. Yes, it's pronounced dragon. Shut up. He isn't even wearing a shirt or anything with sleeves. Oh, I feel like Rasmussen snuck in and wrote that one for him. So yeah, the subtype army was added to some stupid list. Then we've got 603.7 Section B. This is the rule that says a delayed triggered ability normally triggers only once, the next time its condition is met. So what happens if Ugin the Ineffable made 2 tokens thanks to Doubling Season, and then they both die at the same time? Which death causes the ability to trigger? Now, there's an answer. The trigger's controller chooses, which is how literally everything else in the game works, but like I said, with this exact case, you want to write it out. People cannot make assumptions, nor should they have to. You do not want uncertainty in judging. Next up, 612.7, the 612 section of the rules, is a dusty corner where text-changing effects lie. Oh, welcome to hell. I hate these and they should never be in the game, but I'm pretty sure they did a text-changing thing like really recently, and I don't mean the unset. So I've thrown a new rule in to cover Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi's name-changing effect. Oh, that's right, because there's a very important reason that changes the name of the land, but there's also a massive issue with that I don't even want to go into. So now we can go back to not looking at this section of the rules for a few years. Goody. He legitimately doesn't even say what he changed. Hell, I will explain it if you're just going to ask in the comment section. So, you take a legendary land that does something crazy, cast Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi, put 9 1/1 counters on target land you control. It should have said basic land. That was a huge mistake. It becomes a legendary 0/0 elemental creature with haste named Vitu-Ghazi. So that's the name change part. It's still a land. It didn't say anything about losing its current abilities. So, you could play 2 of the same legendary land on top of each other, and as far as I know, the legendary rule is based solely on its current name. So you could drop in 2 Nykthos Shrine to Nyx at the same time and activate both of their abilities, theoretically. Not the end of the world. I'm not going to state what some of the worst things you can do are. It's far-fetched. I don't think people are going to do it, but I also think Wizards R&D and playtesting missed it. So next up, we're in the 700s with 701.15 Section A. After you choose to show off a card for God Eternal Kefnet, which is requiring a lot of rules changes, and its ability triggers, what happens to the card? With no rules saying otherwise, it sure sounds like you get to just hide it again. Nope. But you're going to copy it, and its characteristics are kind of important. Do you have to show it to your opponent after the ability's triggered, but before it finishes doing its thing? Nothing says so. Rather than make players go to Oracle, the Oracle text of the card, to find out what the card did, we're saying that you have to reveal it. So basically, if revealing a card makes something trigger, keep that card revealed until you're done with the trigger. So fully resolve a trigger before hiding the card, because you'd only have to show it, I guess, when the ability goes on the stack, is what he's saying? Yeah, they have to add rules like this because people at Pro Tours are this big of dicks. Hey, what did that card do? What was the exact wording of the probability? Oh, sorry, it's face down now. I don't have to show it to you. Call the judge to get the Oracle text, bitch. I would say 1 in 4 pro players would probably do that. Next up, 701.26. Oh, you already know what this section is. The rules for Proliferate, of course. So the rules for Proliferate got a makeover. Oh boy. The rule reminding you who chooses counters is dropped since there are no more choices on the counters. And the other 2 rules are updated to match the new reality. So that's the polite version of him saying we've completely retroactively changed how Proliferate works. The wording on the new cards is how the old cards work. That's at least my understanding of it, because it's the same keyword. I don't want to get way into it, but some stuff became not optional, and who decides what and when changed, and just Proliferate completely changed. Is it for the better? Is it for the worse? It depends if you look at the older or newer cards, in my opinion. I think there's cases for both, but I just find it insane. That's like them saying they changed how Death Touch works. Now, if you hit a player, the player dies. It would be retroactive to all cards with Death Touch. I mean, that's Proliferate isn't the most common keyword in the world, but wow, to just rewrite the rules and invalidate the reminder text on older cards. I assume they're not too old to have the reminder text. That is really wild. So then we got 701.43. I gathered the rules for Amass here. They're assembled neatly in rank and file. Nobody cares. Amass sucks. It's only good as and I get a creature. If you're playing Amass as your actual deck, you're going to get your ass kicked. It's a bad ability. Now, if you're doing zombie tribal mix and you're just going kind of a mass, that's a good deck. But going 100% all in a mass, you're a crazy person. And finally, we got 711.1A and B. Rivals of Ixalan joins Ixalan on the list of double-faced cards face symbols. Whatever the hell that is. There's an open question of whether we just drop this list the next time we have double-faced cards. It's getting long and weird. The real question is, why would they need a list of double-faced cards in the rules? I guess like there's some stuff that says you can turn this card into like any card or... By the way, how many faces are on double-faced cards? You don't got to put it in the comment section. I guarantee you're wrong and you're just going to delete it. How many faces legally are there on a double-faced card? More specifically, I should say, how many face conditions or statuses can it have? I mean, if you've already guessed that the answer isn't 2, good for you. It's 3. They can actually be face 1, face 2, and face down. And that's basically because of morph. If you put a double-faced card face down, I believe the rules just say you have to hide it. You just got to cover it somehow, or it's like it's supposed to be in a sleeve anyway, basically. So 3 face conditions are the first face, the back face, and face down. It actually does preserve that. That is a real thing in the actual rules. So those are all the rule changes. Not as significant as I thought. The Proliferate one is huge, but for all you current or former aspiring or successful judges, I guess is how I'd put us together because I never took the test. I know we found it interesting, so thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys absolutely dominate the pre-release, and I will see you guys next video.